Okay, so my friend's kids, they're gone. And I know that was just a little kitty video. I just wanted to show you, look at the yellow flag, okay? Where did all the dead stuff go? Honestly, I never picked hardly any of the dead stuff. I was too depressed. I really didn't do much. I've just started doing stuff now. Well, I've cleaned the filters and I net out the bottom to keep it clean. And I've been weeding and pulling leaves, and I've got a few things going, but really, where did the dead stuff go? That yellow flag is growing every day. Soon it'll be up to that dragonfly, and I'll have to move the dragonfly. There's a little bit of dead stuff here, but it seems to wither away to nothing. Like most of it just sort of disappeared into the marsh. Like there's a little bit here and there, but the plant seems to clean itself. Like down at the creek, right? The plant will clean itself. I remember thinking, where do all the dead cattails go in the fall? By spring, you don't see any dead cattails. You see fresh growth. And that's kind of like the perfect marsh there. That massive yellow flag. It's only starting to grow now. Very little is up over here against the fence. That is a fern from in the greenhouse, and this was in the greenhouse too. I touched it up, but compared to everything else, that yellow flag is well ahead. This bush is just starting to leaf out. And of course that woolgrass bulrush right there, it's a very hardy plant and it's coming up nice. It's a woolgrass bulrush. It's a grass, not a brush. And over here, these spiky things, those are rushes, actual rushes. And there's some aquatic mint stuck in there. And the koi like to go in there and spawn. Yeah, so I gotta get, where did the fish go? Oh, they're down there. Look at them. When the kids were over earlier, the fish were acting like they were scared. I have to get, clean out the filters. I can tell the balls aren't spinning as fast. So I'm working on the front yard. I've been grooming, and I'm trying to, there's lots to do. As soon as the front yard's all looking decent, next week I should have everything looking fairly decent, and I will shoot a video. But yeah, the early spring, you know, like we had a couple cold days, so some of the koi, well, they're kind of hiding, those ones. But the spinning balls, they just spin with centrifugal force. I was going to show you that. Well, I planted this new vine here. It's a clematis, and the top is dying. I think that's because when you first plant it, it gets shocked. But I just wanted to show you here. Here's the spinning balls, right? Now, you see how the water comes out of the hose there? And if I just move it in front of the hose, it should spin. Sometimes you have to adjust the hose so the angle comes out nice. Now you see how it's spinning, right? That adds more oxygenation and circulation. Same with here. Now this is just a downspout. See the water coming out right there, and then just push it in front of the water flow. The water has to have somewhat of a little drop, like over here, right? See? The water's flowing out, and I just push the ball there, and it'll start spinning. Yeah. I have to get some more of that moss here, put in the cracks. Look at how beautiful it looks down there under the yellow flag. Massive, powerful sedge. And it licks the bottom of the pond clean. It really does. Like, look at the roots bulging out. And it really does. And the fish, there's fish under there hiding. Lots of them. Lots of fish under there. Yeah, that yellow flag is actually just floating. Watch. See, it's floating. It's a massive floating marsh. I planted back in 1991. This thing will grow up to here. You see, it'll grow that tall. I planted it back in 1991 in a tiny pot. It burst out of the pot. I peeled the little pieces of the pot away and just threw it back in the pond, and that's what I got. And then I read about these sedges, how during a big windstorm, pieces will break off because they'll naturally float. But if you get a good enough base, then they'll always float upright. Whereas that grass is actually in a pot with some grass. But the bulbs of the yellow flag are buoyant, right? And that's what makes it float. And when you got a sturdy clump, a big clump, like you can start a little piece, wedge it in the rocks until you get a good root base. And then eventually you'll have a powerful sedge, right? Like this sedge here does a lot of cleaning. Should actually move it away from here. See, you can see it's floating. The whole thing is actually floating, okay? So yeah, that's pretty darn amazing. And it's like 27, 28 years old. Well, I got it back in 1991. You do the math. It's an old, I've did hack it apart many times. I haven't done anything this year. It can just go wild. I'll have a little bit larger marsh. Maybe next year my nephew will help me in the spring and we'll hack it back a little bit, because it really is taking up half of this pond now. But like I said, it does play an important role. It's very powerful photosynthesis filtrator. And that, I just wanted to show you the yellow flag, how spectacular it was today in Canada.